Hello, I'm Randy L. Purcell, and I just wanted to share a little bit about my process on this painting called Teamwork. Thanks for watching. So now I'm starting a new painting, and I've got my template laid down on top. This is a photograph I took at the Hermitage years ago, and it's always been one I wanted to do a painting of, so now's the time. Two horses that pull the carts there on the property. Um, so I got the template laying on top of the beeswax, and what I'm doing is basically just cutting these shapes, um, and then I don't do all of them. I just want to get a bunch of them kind of cut out, so when I get ready to start, I'll get my colors laid out, and then I'll start taking one piece off at a time. Say for instance it's this one. Cut it. Cut it all the way out. I'll take this one piece, and then I will cut a piece of magazine page in that shape and put it in its place. So I'll show some video of that next. I just wanted to kind of share the starting process so you can see what this looks like in the early stages. Nothing very exciting. Okay, as I explained, this part of the process is kind of boring. I'm just taking, and of course I've kind of jumped ahead here to where I've had several pieces already cut. But as you can see, I'm picking up one piece from the template, cutting that shape, and putting it down in place of what piece of paper I took out of that spot. And we've really sped this thing up so you don't have to sit through me going back and forth. You can see the progress. There's some black and white still mixed in there. There's mostly covered in magazine paper, and I think at this point it's all magazine paper. So we're ready to burnish, and for some reason my video froze down on the panel, so in the top left corner you can just see me going to town burnishing. And then this is the part I hate the least, hate the most. This is where I'm basically sanding the back side of the paper so it will absorb water. Once the whole thing is sanded, I'll spray it with water and we'll rub off that pulp that the, the water mixed with the paper creates, and then the ink will be stuck to the panel. But this part of the process it's kind of a pain. You almost have to do it by hand. I've tried using tools before. On really large pieces, I have used an electric orbital sander, and it works okay, but it's too much. And I've noticed that one of the times I've used it, it's sanded through the paper and created some voids in my painting process. So I try to avoid that unless it's a composition that I feel I can get away with having a few places like that. As you can see, I'm by doing it by hand, I kind of feel how much pressure I'm putting down. I don't overdo it, and I can do it in several phases. Typically, I'll sand one time all around, and then I'll go back and hit some areas that I feel need a little bit more sanding. But like I said, I probably overdo it. It's more about just getting the water to absorb into the paper. That's the only reason I do it. I could probably get away with sanding a little less, but I'm an overachiever, I guess. So anyhow, I've apparently left this part of the video a lot longer than the rest. It's still pretty boring. So I'm just mumbling along. But here we go. We're finishing up now with the sanding, and I'm just taking a bottle of water. You can pour it on there or spray it. I typically like to spray it just because I get a more even coat of water on it. And then I'll take my hand and kind of rub it around. This is what it looks like after it's sanded. And here I am spraying the water. The cool thing is when it's sanded to this level, you spray it with water, you can start seeing the color kind of show through that paper ever so slightly. And as I said, I want to make sure that I'm letting that paper absorb a lot of water so it softens up. And I just pull it up on the water and pull up the water on top of the paper. Move it around till I feel that paper kind of get mushy. And then I start putting some pressure down. And then basically sliding my fingers across the back side of that paper. And hopefully the ink's going to stick to the beeswax or the encaustic medium, whichever I'm using. And then I rub away the pulp. And when it's all said and done, I just end up with a big old pile of mushy paper. And here you can see the browns and the yellows and stuff coming through from the painting. And this video, for some reason, doesn't come through at high res. I'm working on that. Future videos will have a little bit better resolution on them. Hopefully. This is all a learning process. This is an old video that I did, and I just thought it was cool. It's one of my favorite paintings that I've done, and I wanted to share it, so I just kind of put all the videos together, and here I am talking over the sound because I also had problems with my sound when I did this video. And it looks really cool. For some reason, I don't know, it's got a different feel to it than the original piece. Once it's done though, you'll see here in the next shot, there you go. It's nice, a little bit crisper lines than what the video is showing. And I'm going to show you the steps of me carving too. So after I've done the transfer, you can see I'm taking a heat gun, basically just fusing those inks into the beeswax, just hitting it hot enough to where I can see it kind of settle in. Don't want to get it too hot because that ink is just sitting on top of the beeswax and it'll move around. Then I take tools and I carve in basically the highlights, define shapes, give it some depth. You see me looking up, it's because I've got an image on the laptop right there above me, so I can look over and kind of compare where the lines are in the composition that I need to bring out those highlights. And I love seeing the progress in the photos I take here in a little bit. I'll show those. You can see going from the collage look and then going to the sanded, then the wet, and then the paper off, and then the carving. That's coming up here after I get this carving done. You can see it makes everything pop, getting those more contrast into the piece. Although I do kind of like the muteness of it not having those highlights. There's been times when I've wanted to stop on a composition and just leave it alone without carving, but I always give in. I really like the contrast in the finished piece. If I don't do that, then I always have that question in the back of my mind of what it could have been. Yeah, these horses turned out pretty cool. As you'll see here in a minute, we'll jump back to the early stages of the process. There's the finished piece, and here we go, the paper being cut and replaced. Kind of goes through these different stages. I like to take photos as I'm working on a piece just to remind me of how far I've come. There's the sanded, and then the paper's gone, and that is the carved one. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.